I get it. Some mornings you wake up and it is time to hit the ground running, and you don't really have time to sit down and meditate and think and set an intention. So, what do you do when you feel overwhelmed and you're scrambling? Well, I have a 30-second activity that anybody can do no matter how hectic your schedule is, and that's what we're talking about in today's episode. You're listening to PowerBanking, the podcast for women leaders who work within male-dominated industries. On this podcast, you hear from myself, your host, Jacqueline Twillie. I am the president at ZeroGap.co and a multiple best-selling author. We talk about women leading and succeeding in male-dominated industries. But here's the deal. We all know the problems. On this podcast, we focus on solutions. We share the tips, tools, and techniques that help us succeed in the workplace and beyond. Hello, Power Bankers. How's it going today? So, we're in the middle of our series talking about intentions, and you all have hit me up with a few questions, and I thought that I should pop back into the episode today in addition to what I had planned for you, and just answer some questions about how do you set intentions when you're busy and you woke up and it's already time to hit the ground running. So I know this is the case for so many people that their mornings are very busy and they have to go straight from getting up to getting things moving so they can get going. A couple of tips that I have for you is to find 30 seconds, whether that's in the shower, in the car, in your commute, if you commute via a different transportation method, in the elevator going up to the office, maybe in the restroom, or when you're scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of those. Find that 30-second window that you can pause and say, what is my intention for the day? Now, this is a skill like any other muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it will become. So starting out, when you're setting your intention, you may have to sit with that question for a little bit, for a few days even, just to really sit and let it soak in. What is it that I intend to do today? What do I want to accomplish? Now, what happens is we get in a routine. We have the set routine that we're in, and over time, we do things automatically, and so we're not trained, and when I say trained, I mean our brain isn't trained to pause and to ask those questions, what is my intention? So if the first time you present this question to yourself and you don't have an answer, no big deal. That was one of the questions someone sent in. They said, I pondered and nothing. I get it, y'all. It's a skill, it's a muscle. You'll build up to it. So with that, I would like you to consider, what do you do when you're overwhelmed and when you're feeling scrambled? So sometimes when we wake up and we immediately start on the go, how do you set your intention when, in addition to that, you do feel overwhelmed, you feel scrambled, and you don't know where to start? Here's the deal. That 30 seconds that I told you a few minutes ago, that is golden. Almost everyone can find 30 seconds in your day, whether you're in the car, elevator, in the restroom, you're scrolling on social media. You have a 30-second window that you can take advantage of. And when you do that, just pause and say, what is my intention? Now, when it comes to the intention, I shared with you all that the intention is your plan or your aim. And then when you make a resolution, when you resolve to do something, that means that you will be committed, you'll be disciplined. What happens sometimes is that we see that we want to make a change, we have a plan, and we try to do all things at once. Meaning you want to switch your entire lifestyle to shift towards your intention. And for some people, they can do that. For other people, we have a little bit of a challenge because we are already in a routine. So what I would recommend for you to do is find the smallest, easiest thing that you can do and start to do that every single day. By doing so, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to make small, tiny shifts. And it is those small things that you do consistently day in and day out that will move the needle towards your intention. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you wake up and you're on the go, if you feel scrambled and you don't know where to start with the smallest possible thing, even if it's 30 seconds or less. And from that point, do that consistently for a week or two, and then add on the next smallest thing that you can do, and do that consistently for a few weeks, and then you add on the next smallest thing that you can do. So what you're doing is essentially you have a snowball building up. And what happens is you begin to get closer to your ultimate goals, your intentions, by doing those small things consistently versus waiting for the quote unquote time to have to do everything. Because if you continue to put it off and wait to have enough time, that may never come. So I hope these tips are helpful. Thank you for sending in your questions. Now let's roll into a few other tips that I have about intentions and finishing the month and year strong. Gotta give a special thank you to our episode sponsor, Anchor.fm. Listen, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, Anchor is the way to do it. This is why. 1, it's free to get started. They have tools that allow for you to record from your phone or your computer, and they handle the distribution on all of the places where you find podcasts. So if you want to start a podcast, this is the one-stop shop to get it all done. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started. This morning when I got up, I did my regular morning routine, eyes open, and I go into gratitude. Just being thankful that I woke up, being thankful for all of the things that flood to my mind in the moment. And I'm talking about small things, y'all, like, oh, I'm so thankful that I had a good night's rest, that, I have lavender oil that I can use that helps me to have a deep sleep. I'm thankful for my nieces and my nephews. I'm thankful for the things that made me smile, etc. That's my first routine when I hop up in the morning. Then I move into intention and I say, what is my intention today? Sometimes my intention is driven by the agenda that I have set. So I've shared with you all previously, on Fridays, I work on my agenda and my plan for the coming week. And each day when I wrap up my work day, I print out my agenda for the following day so that when I start my work day, I know exactly what I'm doing. And this also is a tool that I use so that I am not waking up first thing and checking email. It really helps me to be productive by having that sheet handy. Now, of course, things happen, and then when people reach out to me and it's an emergency, they can contact me via my cell. I have a permanent out-of-office reminder that just lets people know that I only check email twice a day. It just helps me to manage expectations of when people will receive a response email from me. So when I sit that morning and I say, what is my intention? Of course, my agenda is in the back of my mind because I've already reviewed that. But beyond that, I think more broadly, what can I do today to move the needle in women's leadership and to eliminate the gender wage gap? That is my life's mission. Because I have that mission, I resonate with that deeply. When I'm setting my daily intention, that's something that I'm considering. What can I do today to move the needle forward? Now, if I've already thought of my intention for that day and I have my agenda and the things are not aligned, that is a big moment for me to pause, to readjust, to realign, and for me to say, okay, how can I put my actions in alignment with my intentions? Because sometimes we can set an intention and we have good intentions, but the actions don't match. And if we're not increasing our level of self-awareness to be able to have those touch points, to be able to readjust, we can be off on a trail of things and look up one day and say, how in the world did I get here? So that's how I do that daily check-in. Today specifically, when I got my day started, some things happened that were unexpected. I had to pause and say, okay, now what is my intention? Now that XYZ has transpired, I have to set a new intention because this scenario is urgent. It needs to be taken care of. And it's totally fine to do that. Y'all, there are no rules hard and fast that says you can only do this, you can only do that. You got to figure out a way to make this work for you. Your intentions should drive your behavior, and your actions should be in alignment with that. So in whatever way you make it work, in whatever way you adjust and you get it going, that is okay. So I would love to hear from you all. What are you doing each day to set your intentions, and how are you evaluating your actions to make sure that you are in alignment with that? My name is Jacqueline Twillie. I want to thank you for listening to the PowerBanking podcast, because I know you have a lot of options out there. If this episode was helpful for you, go ahead and share it with a friend or share it on social media. Until next time, my PowerBanking family and friends, continue to emulate excellence and eliminate excuses.